Hi everyone, Melanie Minshinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a new project for you with my new set from Gina K Designs, Macramade with Love, and I'm also going to be using one of our other new sets from this release, Free to Flourish from Lisa Hetrick. This is a card that I created for our blog hop. I got a lot of great feedback on it, so I wanted to show you how easy it is to make and how you can add different greenery elements or florals from your stamp collection or a stamp set like this to the knots and just create a really pretty natural look. It's also great for masculine cards with or without the flowers. In addition to these two sets from Gina K Designs, the cardstock that I'm going to use today, you see some different grays in here, but I'm going to use some of the Gina K Pure Luxury Craft and some of the white cardstock. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and this one is 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So I used my Score Buddy for that. So we've got a side fold card here. Then I've got the mini Misti for doing my stamping, and I've also got a small block for these smaller elements. The ink pads that I'm using today, I have got some of the Gina K Moonlit Fog, or you can use the Stormy Sky ink. Got the Lucky Clover and the Fresh Asparagus for rolling some different greens onto the leaf elements. And then I've got some of the Gina K Jet Black Amalgam ink for my greeting. Also going to be using the dies today that match the Free to Flourish set. We have some for the Macramade with Love, but I'm not using those today. I went ahead and had one of my sons pre-cut out this little flower from a piece of white paper just because I'm having some paint issues now, so I have kind of a hard time rolling these through my die cutter. But you will need some kind of Cuttlebug or Gemini or die cutting machine for those dies. If you don't have that, then you can go ahead and just cut out this flower, or as you can see here, I stamped it right onto the knots and went right over it. We're going to be doing this white pencil technique, so I've got a white pencil that I'm using from my Arteza set of 72. You can use the watercolor pencils or just the colored pencils. So I'm just using the white today. You could use the gray out of that to add some shadows, or use the greens to add a little bit more texture and color to those leaves. So if you have those, you might want to play around, but it's just going to really make it pop out from the neutral paper. So you can use this technique on any colored cardstock you want, except for white. That's really going to not be worth your time, but a colored one, this white is going to show, and it's just going to really make those ropes stand out. I'm just going to use some tape runner, or you can use some foam squares for holding that together when you are finished, and then just a little scrap for cutting out that little white daisy if you choose to do that step. So let's begin by getting our macrame stamped onto that craft mat. Okay, so here is my set that I've got all inky and stained. It's well loved. So you can use any of the different pieces that you want on here. And I'm going to show inside, I also stamped one of the border stamps. So I wanted to give you a tip for coloring in those ropes. So I'm going to use this piece because I think I've used this one a little bit more in videos so far. Just use them interchangeably though. Have about the same amount of coloring that you would do on either one of these. So I'm going to place it just above the middle so that I have room for doing that branch at the top. So I'm stamping that branch as if it looks like it is being hung across that branch or that stem. So I'm going to put it right about there, and then that'll give me room to put some tassels in my greeting down. So I'm just going to put the magnets on here. Close and then open the door, and I'm going to use my gray and get that nice and inky, and I can do this more than once if I need to, if I miss any areas. I'm having some pain issues in my upper back and shoulder and arms, so it's a little bit harder for me to press. So having that Misti, that really helps if I'm not able to apply as much pressure as I normally would, and I can redo that, and I also don't have to worry about dropping my stamp. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few of the tassels. So I'm going to do the smaller tassel. So there's a large and a small one. pull this out, and I'm going to do, I think, one here. And you can put several on there or just one in the middle and then one on the sides. It's really up to you. Let me move this. Oh, and I had that smaller block actually. Let me use the smaller block here real quick. I'm just gonna leave it in the Misti because I like having that foam backing behind it. It gives you a nice crisp image. Sometimes with juicy pads, those details can fill in even with a deeply etched stamp if you have a hard surface. So the cushion just kind of helps it stay true to the design. All right, so now what I'm going to do, and this is also going to feel good for me right now to color on this foam mat. So you can leave it in here or you can take it out. But so I'm taking the white pencil and I'm just going to go in, and it's basically, because these are so thin, you're not really coloring, you're simply just doing a line on each, and that is enough to fill it in. And if you're using a Prismacolor or the Arteza ones or even a crayon, how much pressure you apply is going to make a difference in how opaque it is. What I like about the pencil on this one though, rather than a gel pen, which I do use a lot, the pencil, you can go over that stamped outline and still see the outline. You don't have to be as exact. If I used my gel pen, that would cover. So although it's so nice for some things to be really opaque, I would lose those details and it would just look kind of messy. You'd see it going outside of the lines, whereas this is just going to blend, but it's just looking more and more like white rope and standing out from your stamping. Now, if you've colored in more than you want and you feel like you've lost some of the detail, before you take this piece off of the Misti, you can stamp it again over your coloring. But I went ahead and took it out, but that is an option for you if you feel like you can't see as much of it as you want. Okay, and so I'm just drawing just straight lines down on that tassel, not worrying about getting the whole thing filled in. Okay, so there we go on that. Now let's go ahead and stamp some of those gorgeous leaves. So I want to do this branch, and I want to put the ends, just the tip on either side. So this stretches across both of these large images, which I love. So close that door, and I'm first going to ink it up with this Lucky Clover. So I want to get that all over, do the lighter one first and put it all over. I want to have the darker one, the Fresh Asparagus, on the underside, but I recommend inking up the whole thing with this Lucky Clover just because I don't want to miss part of the stamp. Now, if you have the Misti, you know, you can go back over it and fill that in if you missed a part, but you can always go over your lighter inks with the dark ink and it won't contaminate it. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead, and there's a few other pieces in here that kind of look like eucalyptus. So I really like this larger piece here. So I'm going to put that right about there, just kind of like it's tucked in right there. And I'm going to ink that up with the same inks. And you can do these both at the same time if you want to just ink it once, close the door one time. But sometimes I like to do them separately, and then I can just kind of change my plan last minute if I want to kind of step back and look at it. I recommend that you have your tidy towel handy. I don't, but if you need to clean those off. And because this paper, the craft, it has kind of some fibers in it and things, doesn't have as smooth of a surface as the white does. So you might need to stamp it a few more times to get a really solid impression. Okay? And now let's go ahead and do a little greeting on here. So I think I'm gonna do the Happiness Blooms from Within greeting, or you can use one of the themed ones from my set. So put that just right about there. And we want this nice and dark with that black ink. Put these down so that doesn't pop up. Okay. And I'll probably need to do this one at least 2 times. Yes, let's go back, just ink it again. Close it up. Perfect. Maybe one more time. Just want that blooms really solid. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I want to add this little flower right there. And I think I'm going to grab, I'm going to put this on a little, one of my foam squares, just so that it has some dimension. Just going to pop that up right there. And then that is just going to really, the white base is really going to bring out that natural rope, and then the white on the little daisy or whatever kind of flower that is. So I'm just going to use just a little bit of a tape runner on the back, and the card is complete. So all different kinds of options that you can do with this. Let me go ahead, I want to, oh, actually with the white inside. So let me just show you my tip for coloring this, because I just realized I will do it on this one. All right, so wanted to show you with that white pencil a tip for coloring in this rope, because it's 2 strands that you're using, they're hooking together. So let me go ahead and stamp this border. And I've used it on other cards that I showed in our hops, but I don't think I've used it in a video yet. I might have. You can use this in your Misti, or I'm going to go ahead and put this on my long Gridline acrylic block. And you can do this with the jet black amalgam or that Moonlit fog again. And I'm just going to stamp this just right across, just to go along with that macrame theme, just taking it inside the card. And I did it on this one. You can see here's that little rope heart, and I'm gonna do it on that. All right, so what we're going to do is whatever pencil or marker that you're using, you're just going to start on one of the pairs. So you've got a pair of ropes here and a pair of ropes here. So you can see 2, 2, 2, 2. So you're just going to follow. So if you start on the inside, or you can start on the outside, either way. So just color from one end. So we're going to follow, skip right here because you have these coming through here. So it's still to the left. Okay, so that left one is going through. Then it's coming around in this figure 8. So it's still on the outside. So it went from the inside to the outside, around, and then follow, dot, 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 dot. So it's this one, and then it's coming back out this way. Okay. Now to do this other side, and this is up to you either way that you want to do it, if you want to have them on the outside or on the inside. So this other pair that we've got here, so I'm going to start this one. Let's do this one from the outside so that you can see. Okay. So we've got one on the outside here. It's going to skip. It's going to go to this one, around, coming back, dot, 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 across to here, and then outside. Okay. So I hope that helps you see that. I don't want you to get too worried about that. If you want to just color this however you want, or if you don't want to follow it, I don't think anyone is going to notice. But that is what these ropes would be doing in real life if you were creating the macrame. So I hope that's helpful for you to see. And then you just want to sign the little back of your card on these dark card bases. You can use that white pencil the same way that you did before. So let me show you these different cards that I have here. So this one looks a little bit more masculine without that flower. Don't want to stereotype or anything. But so let me know in the comments which of these you like best, what elements you're enjoying the most from this Macrame with Love set, or anything else you want to talk to me about or ask me about, request another video, whatever. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your patience while I'm dealing with all my paint issues. I'll try to be back with another video very soon. Thanks so much for watching today. God bless.